Hi everyone. Today I will be talking about the user-centered design of the 1998 action strategy hybrid game Battlezone. I chose to cover this game because it offers a unique combination of mechanics and a rather unique user interface. It is also my favorite game of all time, and I have been playing it and its sequel frequently for at least 15 years, as well as spending a great deal of time producing mods for them. The game Battlezone was released in 1998 as a completely reimagined version of the classic 1980 game Battlezone by Atari. It presents a highly unique combination of mechanics, in that it is a real-time strategy game where the player is able to construct a base and command assault forces, but also pilot a vehicle and engage in first-person combat at the very same time. The game's single-player campaign revolves around a fictional 1960s space race where the Americans and Soviets fought a hot war across the solar system over the discovery of alien artifacts, which could be reverse engineered in order to give each side more and more powerful weaponry. The game was given a full redux in 2016 by Rebellion, and most visuals in this presentation are taken from that. As you can see from this trailer, the game contains a fair bit of action. The trailer does focus heavily on the action scenes though, and mostly ignores the fact that 75% of the game is about collecting resources, building bases, defenses, and attack forces, and planning attacks. For these reasons, I would say the game is an interesting blend of hot media and cold media. It is hot media during the action sequences, and cold media during the construction and planning phases. Here we have the game's main menu. It prominently displays the various choices available to the player, with single player and multiplayer occupying the center top, as they are the main features of the game. I would however say it's a little bizarre to also place the view credits and replay intro in large boxes, while exit game and options are in small boxes around the edges, as those are usually considered more important. Clicking on single player brings the player to the campaign menu. From here they are able to choose one of two primary campaigns, American and Soviet, which each offer a distinct set of missions and the opportunity to experience the conflict from both sides. The prominent location of the American and Soviet flags indicates well that they are the primary aspects of the game and should immediately draw the player's attention. Clicking on multiplayer on the main menu brings up the multiplayer menu. This offers a somewhat more confusing menu than a campaign. The options to create game and join game are not prominently located. The screen contains 5 prominent labelled black spaces. The first one is labelled Rooms. At a glance, it does not convey exactly what a room is, or why the player would want to create one, although players in room is self-explanatory, as are the rest of the spaces. The second multiplayer menu offers a more comprehensible layout, with the important elements related to gameplay located front and center. This shows the in-game view. The primary view type is first person, although it is possible to switch to some various third-person views. At a first glance, the amount of information presented on the screen to the player is overwhelmingly opaque. The interface only vaguely follows Nielsen's rule that extraneous information should be removed. In the bottom right corner of the screen is the weapon layout view, which lists the weapons currently available to the player. This is naturally mapped to the position a player would likely associate with the weapon, as the visible weapon model extends out from the bottom left of the screen and a real weapon is generally held in that position. As the player is currently just a pilot, there are only 2 weapons available, the plasma rifle and the sniper rifle. The plasma rifle does virtually no damage and is practically useless except for distracting enemies. The sniper rifle, by contrast, offers a unique ability. It can kill the pilot of an enemy vehicle, leaving the vehicle empty, provided you are accurate enough to hit the enemy in exactly the right spot. This spot is indicated as a yellow dot on each piloted unit and only visible through the sniper scope. Next to the weapons is the ammo bar. This displays the current ammo available for the currently selected weapon. To the left of that is the green hull bar, which displays the current health of the pilot or the hull damage of the vehicle the player is currently piloting. These bars remain in the same place regardless of whether the player is a pilot or piloting a vehicle, although they display the stats of a player's vehicle if they are in one. To the right side of the screen is the objective layout. This provides the player with information on what to do in the campaign mission. It is updated as the story progresses and can be manually shown and hidden with the O button. In the top right of the screen is the camera view. This displays the camera feed of the selected nav beacon, a targeted friendly tank, or an external view of a targeted enemy or neutral object. In the bottom left corner of the screen is the radar view. This shows a 3D representation of the surrounding terrain and an indexical representation of objects in the vicinity. For example, an unmanned assault or offensive craft is represented as a grey dot with an O in the center. The player's primary production unit, the recycler, is represented with a green dot and an R. A friendly utility or non-intractable building is marked as a green square. A power-up or collectible weapon is marked as a small yellow dot. In the top left corner of the screen is the command menu. It is from here that all of the RTS functions stem. The first option in the command menu, which indicates that it can be activated by pressing the 1 key, is to open the list of the player's offensive units. The second option is to open a list of defensive units, and the third opens a list of utility units. In this screenshot, these are currently greyed out as the player does not have any units of either type at present. As the player is currently pointing the reticle at an empty tank, the action available by pressing the spacebar is No Action Tank, and is greyed out, which indicates in a conventional manner that nothing can be done with it. Now the player is piloting a hover tank. This is signified by the presence of the 3D cockpit. Additionally, the player is currently hovering the reticle over a primary production unit, known as a recycler. Hovering a reticle over a friendly selectable unit is signified by a green line extending from the command menu directly to the center of the object in 3D space. The line begins at space action element of the command menu, indicating that the player should press spacebar to perform an action. The command menu tells the player exactly what action would be performed, which is currently Select Recycler. This is highly intuitive and directly explanatory, so the player does not need to guess at all how to perform this action. As to what Select actually means, that is more opaque. Once the player has pressed the spacebar, the line from the space action on the command menu disappears. It is replaced by a new yellow line which extends from the top of the command menu down to the selected unit's location on a 3D radar. The unit is also now represented by a yellow icon on the radar. The command menu has changed to reflect the actions which the selected unit may be ordered to perform. The recycler is able to build 3 different types of object: a scavenger, repair, or ammo. One downside to the build menu is that it does not clearly indicate that it has anything to do with construction. A player who has never seen this part of the interface before would almost certainly not understand what it does. The only way to find out would be to press 1, 2, or 3 as indicated and to actually see what it does. So it essentially qualifies as a hidden affordance. However, a player's sense of intertextuality could help them to understand, particularly if the player has played other real-time strategy games in the past, as this type of factory menu is quite common in other games. Furthermore, the resource or scrap cost counter to the right of each buildable item also fails to indicate what it means. It could easily be mistaken for a hull damage count or something along those lines. Upon pressing one of the available buttons, the build interface closes and the command menu is restored. However, the recycler portion of the menu now displays a blue bar. This bar is animated and fills from left to right as the unit is constructed, which is a conventional indicator of progress. The recycler itself provides in-world feedback in the form of smoke to indicate that an action is underway. The new scavenger type unit is now complete, and it has also been selected by the player. The command menu has been updated to reflect the fact that a scavenger has been selected, offering the commands which are unique to the scavenger, such as scavenge. Other commands such as get repair are greyed out to indicate they are currently unavailable. As this is a mobile unit, it is able to be ordered to perform tasks centered around other in-game objects. For example, it could be ordered to follow another object. In this screenshot, the player's reticle is closest to the hangar building located in the background, so a green line is drawn between the command menu and the hangar. The command menu space segment has been updated to reflect the relevant action which can now be ordered, which is now follow. The simplicity of using the spacebar to select units and also to order them around, as well as reusing the green line on the interface to indicate both, offers a high degree of consistency to the player. It could also possibly be argued that this reuse could cause confusion, as players may not immediately realize which mode the command menu is in, and could mistakenly give an order when trying to select something, or vice versa. Alternatively, it could be argued that the reuse indicates an association between selection and ordering, and keeps them together as alternating but intrinsically related user interface actions. Now that the player has simply shifted aim towards the ground, the reticle has automatically switched to Go To mode, and the command menu has updated the action performed by hitting space. There are plenty of other actions which can be performed merely by selecting a unit and aiming the reticle at various in-world objects. Each unit type uniquely interacts with other types of in-world objects. Battlezone often successfully follows Nielsen's 10 rules, although there are moments when it leaves something to be desired in this regard. Visibility of system status. This is very well covered, as player health, ammo, command panel status, and radar are all perpetually visible to the player, displaying practically all information that could ever be required. Match between system and real world. The game's terminology is quite comprehensible to the layman. By using terms such as factory, armory, constructor, there is at least a reasonable expectation that players will get at least some idea of what each of them is able to do. User control and freedom. The player can close the command menu with the touch of a tab button, and there is little difficulty navigating back to the default view, so the user's ability to control the interface is sound. Consistency and standards. The control scheme for Battlezone could be classed as unique to some degree, as the game's mechanics are a highly unique combination of RTS and FPS elements. This necessitates a reasonably unique control scheme, which does not always adhere to the standards set by other games in either genre. Error prevention. An "Are you sure?" dialogue appears upon attempting to quit the game in order to prevent the player from accidentally quitting in the event of a wayward click. Recognition rather than recall. The user interface uses consistently placed items, and their positioning does not change throughout the gameplay, so the player does not need to consciously think about where to look when searching for a particular element. Flexibility and efficiency of use. As players become more proficient in use of the interface, there are several accelerators which allow them to speed up gameplay elements, such as unit selection. Conventionally, a player would need to specifically choose which units to select each time around, but an option exists to store a given selection group and access it via a hotkey. This allows advanced players to optimize unit selection speed and accuracy, which is quite useful during complicated combat scenarios. Aesthetic and minimalist design. Although a great deal of information is displayed on screen at any given time, it does tend to be relevant to the player's current task. The fact that the command menu changes to reflect the currently selected unit minimizes the screen space required. The objective readout display also only appears temporarily at the time when the new objective is given to the player. Help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. Battlezone does not tend to offer the player all that much guidance when errors occur, although some units such as constructors will inform the player when they attempt to give them an impossible order. Help and documentation. The game offers a paper documentation pamphlet in the CD case, which details the control scheme in great detail. Considering that Battlezone was originally created in 1998, there are some glaring issues with the realism, which can lead to downright strange results during gameplay. For example, the repair hangar class buildings. The American version of the hangar resembles a hollow building with open doors you can pilot a vehicle through. Although this is possible, it is not actually necessary to do this in order to receive repairs. The design of the building suggests that it must be entered before any repairs may begin, but this is a false affordance, as merely entering a certain range of the building will cause repairs to commence. The Soviet repair hangar suffers from the exact opposite issue. It does not resemble a repair hangar at all and looks more like a giant water tank, so players could miss that it's a repair hangar altogether, making it a hidden affordance. And that's all I have to say about the user-centered design of Battlezone. Thank you.